Trump stooge and MAGA Republican Byron Donalds must just love getting humiliated live on air, because it would be the only explanation for why he continues to try and fail miserably to defend Donald Trump. I see Byron Donalds all the time, and whenever I do, it is him getting shut down or kicked off air, and both of those things happened today because CNN host Boris Sanchez was having none of Byron Donalds' lies and just decided it would be easier to kick him off air than listen to him ramble and lie about Donald Trump, which I think more hosts should do. There's no reason we need to put up with these lies, but we don't need to talk about it. I want to check out this clip, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Over 80% of our viewers haven't subscribed yet, so make sure to subscribe. Now let's check out this clip.
Congressman Donalds, there is one more question I have for you. Famously, earlier this summer, Donald Trump made some comments about Kamala Harris's race during the National Association of Black Journalists conference, and he essentially said that she sort of used her blackness to advance her career, saying that he didn't even know that she was black because she didn't put it out there. And I'm paraphrasing his remark there. She said in response that she invited him to say that to her face. Do you think Donald Trump might do that tonight?
No, because this is an issue nobody even really cares about. He mentioned it once, he hasn't mentioned it again. What Donald Trump is focused on is the American people. It's fixing our economy so people can afford food, can afford housing, can get their car fixed, could potentially go on a vacation. It's securing our border so we don't have illegal aliens taking resources from the American people, hardworking American people, Americans who are down on their luck, something's gone wrong in their life and they need help. It is the illegal alien crisis created by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden that's taking those resources away from the American people. It is fixing our foreign policy because we need leadership in the White House, not pandering and not weakness. And that's what Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have brought us. Those are the things that he's going to say to her face. He's not talking about her identity. Frankly, nobody is. She might try to bring it up, but that doesn't matter to the American people. It's one of the reasons why her support in this race might be broad, but it's an inch deep, because she's not talking policy. She's not talking about the things that are going to help the American people. And so I'm just telling you now, Donald Trump's going to talk to her about the issues that are going to fix our country and make it great again.
Respectfully, Congressman, he was the one that brought it up initially unprompted. Congressman Byron Donalds, we do appreciate you sharing your perspective. Look forward to having you on again.
Boris, you're wrong about that, but okay. Thank you.
Did he not bring up the issue of her race before anyone else did, suggesting that she used it to her advantage?
It was actually Rachel. Boris, it was actually Rachel Scott of ABC at the National Association of Black Journalists that asked him about whether he thought she was a DEI hire or not. So Rachel Scott is the one that brought race and identity.
Actually, she was quoting Republicans who have brought that up.
She asked that question.
She was citing Republicans who have brought that up.
Did Rachel Scott ask that question of Donald Trump or not? Because last time I checked, there's only one
Republicans
Republican
not
nominee,
make that accusation that she's a DEI hire? Did Republicans not? It is. If another Republican says something and they're within your party, I think it's fair to ask you what you think about it, sir.
Let's talk about this appropriately now.
We are.
Boris, let's talk about this appropriately. There was one Republican that said it on Capitol Hill. Another Republican was asked about it. They both said, well, I don't know. Yeah, I think she was, when they were asked actually by Manu Raju of your network. So that's exactly what happened. Rachel Scott asked Donald Trump a week later. He made his response. Is he going around in rally after rally or policy speech or doing the podcast interviews he does or network interviews that he does? Is he talking about her identity? No, he is not. He was asked a question by Rachel Scott
because of the blowback that he got for his response.
One member said on Capitol Hill, and now that means all Republicans are asking those questions. Boris, you need to stop that. That's not accurate.
I never said all Republicans. I never said all Republicans were bringing it up. Republicans brought it up, and it was brought up, and it was brought up in conservative circles.
Plural. You just said that.
Several Republicans did, sir. It was going around in Republican circles. It is, Congressman. It is. Nevertheless, sir. Nevertheless, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to talk to you, sir. We do appreciate your time. Thank you so much. It's not gaslighting, sir. We do appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. See you, sir.
I am not the biggest fan of CNN. I have said that before. It is still true, but I got to give credit where credit is due. When the interview is done, it is done. We do not need to hear MAGA ramble and lie anymore. Good on Boris Sanchez for just saying, your time is up. I don't know if that was when the interview was supposed to conclude. I heard Boris Sanchez try to end it a little bit earlier, and then Byron Donalds continued to ramble and lie, trying to defend Donald Trump, which is just a defenseless situation, saying that Kamala Harris turned black. What a ridiculous lie. A lie I hope he brings up tonight, so millions more people who have not heard or seen it already can go, what is this guy talking about? Which is exactly what's going to happen on the debate stage tonight. But good on him, kicking him off air, calling out his lies, which is exactly what he did in an earlier clip when Byron Donalds was trying to defend more of the indefensible from Donald Trump, trying to give some sort of reason for his false election fraud claims. And I don't even know the reasoning that he was trying to give. He brought up the Philadelphia Eagles. It didn't make a lot of sense, but he was called out for his lies right here.
We can continue debating the sources of inflation and the child tax credit, which, as you noted, had bipartisan support. But I do want to get a response to you about the questions of election fraud, because it seems that they originated with Donald Trump himself, and he continues to perpetuate them.
Well, a couple things. First of all, we're in Pennsylvania, so let's talk specific to the state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
One of the key issues they're having here, and this is really what their legislature should fix, we do it in Florida, they should fix it in Pennsylvania, is that they're not allowed to pre-canvass these ballots. So what happens is the polls close, and it takes 3, 4, 5 days to find out who won the election. That doesn't make any sense at all. The legislature in Pennsylvania, led by their governor, Josh Shapiro, they should fix that right now. If the Philadelphia Eagles are there, if they're playing a football game, trust me, the Eagles fans here in Pennsylvania, they know the score of the game when they're leaving the stadium or when they turn off their TV. But when we're talking about elections, we don't know who won simply because they're not even going through that process in an earlier fashion. Georgia does it, Florida does it, many other states do. Pennsylvania should change that. But to a broader level, when you're talking about mail-in ballots, one of the key issues is security of that ballot. Depending on your state, you can have a universal mail-out process like Oregon, which quite frankly, I find to be ludicrous. People should request a ballot if they're going to mail it in. That's a simple control procedure to protect the franchise of voting in America. And that is Donald Trump's concern. And I will add, when you take a look at it, that's a concern of a lot of Americans.
And yet, sir, a lot of states that Donald Trump won in 2020 actually sent out ballots to registered voters. So it's not necessarily cause for concern in states that he won, it seems, among Republicans. I also want to point out, since you talked about Pennsylvania, his claims of election fraud in 2020 were adjudicated, and there was a judge that led an appeals court of a 3-judge panel, but it was actually a judge that he appointed that said that his team brought zero evidence of election fraud in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Beyond that, you talked about Josh Shapiro changing the election laws there. It is a Republican legislature in Pennsylvania, so they could easily address those concerns. It seems like they don't necessarily have that as an immediate priority, again, because there was no evidence of widespread fraud in 2020. Lastly, Congress.
What I wish he would have brought up is that it is Republicans, not Democrats and Josh Shapiro in the Pennsylvania legislature, that are stopping votes from being counted in, early votes, mail-in votes, when they come in. Because it is a tremendous issue. And Florida is a state that gets it right. I am a Floridian. I vote by mail. And those ballots are not, they're not counted, but they are prepared, they are verified and prepared to be counted as soon as possible, because we want to make sure that we are finding out who is the winner of a given election as quickly as possible. But it's Republicans who are holding that effort up because they want there to be concern and confusion on election night. They want to be able to push their claims of election fraud. And if there's not an answer yet to who won a state, they are better equipped to do so. And it is an absolutely disgraceful tactic, and it needs to be called out more. But what else needs to be called out is the contrast in this race, and someone who did a great job of doing so, breaking down the bickering of Donald Trump versus the future that Kamala Harris is excited to bring, is Gavin Newsom right here.
What Kamala Harris has done in the last 8 weeks is unprecedented in U.S. history. She's closed the gap. We're not just within a margin of error. We've expanded the map in the United States. You saw new polls this morning. States that were not even in the conversation. Now Donald Trump has to either defend or he has to go out and invest millions and millions of dollars that we never imagined a few weeks ago. So no, I think the momentum is with us. She's the change candidate. There's a fresh air related to her. There's a stale air of normalcy related to Donald Trump.
What more do we need to hear? Fresh new face of the Democratic Party versus same old, back to the past, a past we don't want to be a part of with Donald Trump. The case is clear. It will be clear tonight, and I cannot wait to watch. And we are going to be doing incredible, I hope so. I'm going to say it's going to be incredible. We're going to be positive about it. Debate coverage tonight. So if you want to check that out, as always, make sure that you are subscribed and hit that notification bell as well so you can be the first to see when we put out a new video. And until next time, I'll see you soon.